Hey, what the is up, motherfucker? It's me, Lazybed, and this is a special, impromptu, very impromptu, unscripted Memorial Day potluck mashup edition of Lazy's Leftovers. This is just a little bit of a round table show that we're pulling together last minute for you guys, so we have some content to put out around here at Just Bleed Radio. Joining me today are my guys. No special. Coming out of the West Coast, Best Coast. What is going on, Austin?
Uh, Good. We got most of our moving stuff done. We're just doing the last little bits today. Been chilling with the family. Been kicking it. Playing Doom, the new one. Also, a couple drinks here and there. It's more of a day weekend, 3-day weekend. Let's fucking go.
All right. And as usual, also joining alongside our man from the northern portion of the great, beautiful countryside village of Yorkshire. I believe that's where he's located. It is the man that we call Danger Mouse. Danger Mouse, how you doing today, bud?
I'm all right, sir. It's a bit just another day for me. I didn't even realize it was holiday here, to be honest. And all I've done all day is watch Mobland and smoke. So, yeah, good day.
Yeah. Not a problem there because we don't have much, nothing planned. Like I said, this is just kind of cobbled together, so we'll see what we could even get out of this mess and nonsense.
What we're going to get is at least 10 seconds of music at the start so that we can censor your opening.
Look, am I cursing?
Yeah. You're not allowed to swear in the first 10 seconds of a YouTube video or something. Might even be 15 or 20. I'm not sure. That's why that's why we always have long intros when that shit happens. So now you know.
Intros are good anyhow. I like to curse.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm just explaining for the listeners why they're getting a lot of music at the start of whatever ever happens.
Well, hey, it's not an American holiday if you're not cursing like a sailor. Yeah, so I guess what we're gonna do is we're just going to go through some of the topics of this past week in MMA to the best of our abilities or whatever we can find here. And we can start with a bit of news. I guess you would call it news that broke today. The possibility of actually some news tomorrow that will have already broken by the time that this makes the air, whatever this news might be. But it is news coming from interim heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall, who's teasing something that a lot of people are thinking might be fight news, but I'm also hearing many people speculating that it might not be fight news whatsoever. It could be a complete total swerve. So, guys, what do you think? Is this some actual juicy fight news coming from Tommy, or is this just a promotional stunt? What's going on here?
I think what we're going to see here is a bit like when John Jones promised big news, and it turned out he was repping some medical company or some bullshit like that. Tom Aspinall, I believe there's been a tweet that he's made, or he made a comment underneath saying that I don't announce my fights, and I knew that straight away. Don't get me wrong, flare of hope there. Is he going to say something else? Then you have a moment of rationale to think about it and think, no, Tom is not going to be able to announce when he's going to fight. That is going to come from the UFC or maybe Ariel Helwani, depending on whether he can stick his nose into the UFC's business far enough ever again. So yeah, I did see something on our Discord, or was it the MK Discord, about a football match that happened last year that Leon Edwards played in. So maybe something like that. I kind of hope not. I don't want Tom to have some horrible accident, trip over, sprain his knee. John leaps back into the option, takes on Cyril Gann again, beats his ass again, and then jumps back into the background or some bullshit like that. So I kind of hope it's not a sporting thing, to be honest, just in case he gets injured. I don't want Tom to get hurt. That's the basics of it. So no, I don't think it's going to be fight news related at all. Sorry, I really wish it was.
Austin, what do you think?
Clarification: is it him specifically saying that he can't announce it, or is it that he's saying there's an announcement coming and he's saying I can't announce it, the UFC is going to announce it for them? So is he saying something in general on his personal social media platforms, or is it like he's expecting there to be an announcement?
I believe the sequence of events what happened was he posted this teaser video, more or less saying announcement, big news coming tomorrow. People jumped to the assumption in the comments that it was fight talk, and then he responded to somebody else and said, I don't announce my fights, the UFC does. So take it back what you will.
That doesn't help me.
Exactly, it's very cryptic.
I'm hoping that it's an announcement via sponsorship. Maybe something that's like, okay, I'm repping this or something along those lines. I hope it's like you said, Mouse, where it's like it's not a sporting thing, because it's like, all right, well, I mean that does nothing for me as a fight fan. So good for you. You have to do the thing if you're doing something. I mean, I'm not gonna tell a fighter what he should and shouldn't do, but um, especially if it comes to money. But I hope it's something where it's like, okay, there's an announcement of a date, and a date that we should have clarification on what he's doing, more or less. So if it's tomorrow, by the time this comes out, we should have an idea. We can all either look stupid or be happy, or just be completely sad and crushed at this stupid sport. Right. I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to be optimistic and hope it's something specific. Like, hey, we're looking at this date per sources, and we're looking at November for Madison Square Garden because John Jones wants to go out in his hometown type bullshit or whatever, in appeasing the man who is known as a chicken, goat, duck.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's definitely not going to be fight news. If you think that this fight is going to get announced and this news is going to be broken, and it's not going to be broken by fucking John Jones or Tom Aspinall, you're out of your, or I mean, John Jones or Dana White, you're out of your mind. Like, Tom Aspinall's not going to be the one to break this news. There ain't a chance in hell.
No, it's coming from Dana if we hear it.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, well, let's move on to a different one. I got one here, and this is a little bit sillier one. We're going to talk a little bit about Noche UFC. I guess it was this past week, and I didn't watch it, but Dana White and the UFC received 2 Sports Emmy Awards for this past year's Noche UFC event at the Sphere. We all watched it, of course. Everybody watched it. So, the first part of this topic here is going to be: do you guys think that they deserved these Sports Emmy Awards for that event and the production that they put on at the Sphere? Austin, what do you think first?
Well, I mean, I think we all had positive looks or reviews, or I want to say positive memories of Noche. I don't think most of us hated it. I think most of us actually liked it, if I'm not mistaken. I think maybe Mouse and Dave were on the like, well, I liked it, but I wasn't, it wasn't for me kind of thing. Whereas I think me and you had more positive views on, oh my God, it was extravagant. There's a bunch of stuff. But the fan base was kind of split on it. Like, there's people who absolutely hated it, and there's people who absolutely loved it, like thought it was the greatest thing ever. Luke Thomas being one of them. And I kind of found myself leaning that way, but I wasn't like, yeah, the people who didn't like it didn't deserve their, opinions to be bashed or whatnot. It's just, uh, I thought it was great. I thought there could have been stuff that was a lot better. I think it shows that I think if anything, it shows that the UFC is capable. When we talk about all this other, fantastical stuff that other promotions do, Pride used to do, KSW does, that Bellator would do, that Strikeforce had done. I mean, WEC had a little bit of stuff, but wasn't really that great at doing it. Uh, Promotions have this ability to give us a theoretical, fantasy into what sports promotion could be. WWE is the greatest example of what sports entertainment is, right? It's nice that occasionally we have moments inside the UFC that we can look at and say, yeah, you know what? The UFC knows what they're doing when they promote stuff. Is it the best? Probably not. But it's it's a great step in the right direction for giving individuality to events. It's not something the UFC normally does. So this is a great sign for them to gonna be like, hey, we actually get recognition from outside the fight community as stuff that we do. That's not easy to do, you know? So
Yeah.
I give them credit. If it's deserved, they got the award. Doesn't matter how they got it, they got it. That's not easy to do in today's age, you know. So hey, congrats to them.
Yeah.
Hopefully this gives them the ability to say, yeah, let's go do more stuff. Give it more personality, more pizzazz, more show, more wow factor. But
Yeah.
eh,
We do got to add the caveat though that they showed us what they can do when they put their minds to that sphere, but they also showed us what they could do when somebody else is willing to foot the majority of the bill, because that was pretty much all Saudi funded. Like that wasn't. That's why that shit was plastered all
$20
over.
million.
So yeah, they credit for it. But yeah, Danger Mouse, what do you think? Do you think that was an award-winning production out there at the Sphere last year?
I'd only vaguely heard of it. I think I'd caught a headline a moment ago. But while Austin's been talking, I haven't heard much of what you said, my friend. But I've been searching on the internet and I found this from MSN. The UFC won a pair of sports Emmy Awards for their incredible production at UFC 306, the promotion's annual Noche UFC event. The card took place this past September at Sphere in Las Vegas and was capped off by Mravdavash bantamweight championship victory over Sean O'Malley in the main event. While the fighters were a big story, it was the wild visuals that stole the show. And because of that, the UFC won Emmy Awards for Outstanding Studio or Production Design / Art Direction and Graphic Design Speciality. So there you go. That's what they won the actual Emmys for. Not much to do with the fights. Just putting on a nice show, which
Yeah.
I think at the time, as Austin said, I wasn't blown away by it. It looked nice, but it was on TV. I'm sure if you were there, it was absolutely fucking off the scale. It was amazing, I'm sure. But just watching it on TV, it was just another TV, a slightly different UFC, but it didn't blow my mind in the way it did for like Luke Thomas and Austin, I guess. So yeah, but all credit to them. I know they spent a shitload of money on it, so it's nice they've got some recognition for that. And yeah, if they want to keep doing events like that, yeah, by all means. Personally, I'd rather you spent the $30 million that you spent on that on maybe on John Jones's salary for his next fight, so I can see Tom Aspinall knock his fucking head off. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, you might be kind of onto something there, because I've sort of heard, in the back channels that might be part of the holdup for why we're not quite getting that fight yet between him and Tom. It's not necessarily neither man being scared or ducking or anything of that nature. It's actually the UFC dragging their feet while they're waiting for somebody else to kind of come in and help foot some of the bill.
Could be.
Yeah, with Endeavor IMG, the parent company, they're getting more and more stingy with wanting to pay the majority of these large the shows with the larger salaries. They're not wanting to foot the entire bill themselves. They're wanting to get help from outside sources. So,
oh my God forbid.
Tom said on the Mighty Cast that he knew something about the money situation, but he couldn't say it on camera. So Mighty Mouse knows something about it. Tom Aspinall knows something about the money situation there, but the rest of us don't. And I doubt that's what his announcement will be.
Could be it. Okay, well, while we're on the topic of the Sphere, though, let's move on from that subject, because we can go on that all day. But we're going to stay on the Sphere Noche UFC event last year, because also this past week we had Sean O'Malley's coach come out and say that part of the reason that O'Malley lost to Merab last year was because of the lighting at the Sphere. Apparently the lights were getting in the eyes of Sean O'Malley and they were blinding him. And several shots that missed by just mere inches could have ended Merab's night and didn't. And it was all because of those godforsaken lights in the Sphere. So what do you guys think about this? Does O'Malley and his coach Tim Walsh have any sort of point or a grain of credibility here to this lighting theory?
I don't know. Why do I have the image of the end of a Scooby-Doo episode where I would have got away with this fight if it wasn't for those pesky lights? Yeah. Yes. I mean, maybe the lights did make a difference, but Merab had that same problem as well. It's not like they were fighting in different arenas. So yeah, suck it up. You lost. It's always the way with O'Malley. He always seems to be looking for an excuse to why he lost. Oh, my leg went numb. I would have beaten his ass. Which yeah, you probably would, looking how you dealt with him in the second fight. But you didn't. You lost. And suck it up, son. It's a loss on your record. It counts. End of story. And same with this one. Yeah, maybe the lights interfered with your eyes. I don't know. Is it possible? But tough luck. You both fought under the same circumstance. And Tim Walsh, I don't know. I can never entirely decide whether I like that guy or not. He talks some nice stuff, but the way he opens his show with these stupid little drum and that kind of stuff, I always skip past that bullshit. It annoys me so much.
Hey, boys and girls, we're back in action. Welcome back to Uncle Red's channel. Let's warm her up a bit.
Yeah. So no, I'm not buying it. Sorry.
Austin, what do you think? Was the shining lights, the bright lights of the sphere, too much for a superstar? You know what you are. What's going on here?
If you are what you say you are, a superstar, then have no fear. The camera's here and the microphone.
Isn't that like the third excuse they've given as of late for that one performance? Isn't it? Like, he said he was also injured. He said he also hadn't been training on a regular basis or something like that. Like, he said something about an injury. He said something about possibly not being prepared. Now he's saying also, well, not him specifically, but his coach. Like Miles said, this camp and him are just kind of always looking for excuses as to why they've lost. And then you go the opposite way with Merab. He's like, oh yeah, I'll just, I was on the near brink of death, but my coach was asking me to get me out, to not do the fight, but I did it. Like, all right. I don't know what to say to that. Extreme polar opposites. Merab, you could like throw him into an ice lake and watch him split his head open, and he'll swim underneath the water, nearly bleeding to death, and then also come out and be ready to fight for like fucking 15 minutes straight. O'Malley, on the other hand, is kind of like a dainty dandelion. Looks fine, there's not a whole lot to him, but for some reason, like the minute you kind of step on it wrong, it's dead. It doesn't really work. You can't really bring it back to life afterwards. I mean, I don't know, man. It's a weird one. O'Malley's capable. He might be less, dainty up a weight class, but for some reason he just doesn't fight very often. If he fought more often, I'd have more, more understanding as to him getting injuries. But apparently he doesn't do that now. He didn't want to fight Corey Sandhagen. He just got gifted another rematch. But whatever. This is apparently the age of rematches for bantamweight, because God forbid Merab fucking does anything else. Sorry, Lazy, I know you like him, but I'm getting really annoyed with Merab. Even if he's like a tough dude, and I do like him, I'm just getting really annoyed with it. And I know I'm not supposed to be talking about him, but I think he knows if he also fights somebody else, he has a really high probability of losing to these other guys. This is probably the best matchup if he's able to land a one punch knockout on Merab. He couldn't do it for 25 minutes the last time. I don't see him doing that again in this fight. What's going to be the excuse this time? That's all.
Sorry, if I could just jump in. We mentioned Generation Kill before. We were chatting about before the show, and I was looking through my image folders, and I found the one I wanted with Brad Iceman on it, and the comment that we can apply to this excuse.
A straight homosexual country music Special Olympic game.
And I will find that
Jesus
clip.
Christ.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I'm kind of in agreement with you guys. Like, I don't think that you can use the fucking lights of the sphere as your fucking excuse when everyone else had to deal with the same shit. And also, you're Sean O'Malley. You tell me with that fucking tie-dyed hair and all them tattoos that you ain't never been involved in a situation with neon lights and strobe lights and fucking. Yeah, I'm sure you have. You definitely have. 100%. All right. Okay.
I wasn't sure what you were trying to imply there.
I don't know. I'm sure he's been in some sort of a scenario where there's been fucking pulsating music and yeah, flashing lights and sweaty bodies. He seems like that kind of guy. One way or another, I don't. I'm not gonna fucking specify the scenario, but it sounds like a likely situation that O'Malley has probably found himself in before. Anyhow, we're gonna move it along though. We're gonna continue with strobing flashing lights because there was also some strobing flashing lights this past week for one Pat Miletich, who begins his sentence, 30-day jail sentence that is, for a DUI, one of many DUIs that Mr. Miletich has accumulated in his post-fighting career. So, not exactly new news. Everybody kind of knows that Mr. Miletich might be a bit of an alcoholic and has a problem. Should probably seek help if he hasn't already. Get help, Pat Miletich. But he's serving some lenient jail time by United States standards for his now umpteenth arrest for driving under the influence of alcohol. So, what do you guys think about this situation with Mr. Pat Miletich here? I don't really have a question, but any comments on Pat Miletich's continued arrests for driving while drinking?
All right. I want to go against the traditional norm here and say I'm not going to condemn him for drinking. I'm going to just say, because I drink a lot, but my thing is like, no one's going to tell you you can't have a drink. No one's going to tell you you can't have a couple. You might run up a tab on a bar here and there. You might, piss off some of your friends when you're stumbling drunk and pissing on their shoes. Hey, things happen. This is different. This is no longer about you having a good time. This is you being able to get away with shit. And then this is also you pushing the boundaries of you also getting away with shit. So, God forbid, he happened to be falling asleep at the wheel, then something could have happened. But that did it. With Pat too, it's also it's one of those things where he was a great coach, he was a great fighter, and now he was also a great announcer too, if I remember correctly, for commentary gigs.
Yeah,
I think a handful of times I remember his commentary specifically, but he had a respectable career. Now he's kind of tarnishing it by doing this. A lot of it too is possibly that he knows a judge, he knows a sheriff. It's a small town, and I'm assuming. I think we talked about this beforehand, where it's like sometimes small towns, when a well-connected guy happens to do shit, he kind of gets away with shit because the harsh punishments don't seem to find him. If that's me, I'm definitely going to jail first time, and I'm not getting out for a good minute. But God forbid, Pat Miletich only gets to go 30 days. Whatever. But it shouldn't happen, and someone needs to talk to him about, hey, either you're allowed to do this or you do not have a car. Either you can be responsible in public or you cannot, and both are options that you should be able to figure out. Unfortunately, this is also what happens to fighters when they no longer have a purpose. But again, he also has himself to blame for that. That's all.
Mouse, any thoughts?
I had to look the guy up, to be honest. I'm just looking at his wiki page now. Yeah, UFC 16 welterweight tournament winner. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I was aware of the UFC then, but I didn't watch it. And as far as drink driving goes, no, I have very little sympathy, to be honest. I think in the UK we have stricter laws than you guys do. by the sounds of it, because if you got busted for drink driving here, the likelihood is you lose your license the first time and you won't be allowed to drive. And then if they catch you driving without a license after you've been banned, you might go to prison for that, depending. And I'm not talking a week in jail, something like that. I'm talking like maybe a year or two. Much harsher here if you get caught drinking and driving. I am not without sin. I've driven. I can categorically say once I've driven when I was drunk, and I drove from the pub to my home, which was about maybe 800, 1,000 meters, 1,000 yards, and I really regretted it because I felt it was horrible. I'd never do it again. Very stupid. Didn't need to. Should have just walked home that day, but I got away with it. So here we go. But yeah, just don't drink and drive. It's a bad idea. You will eventually kill somebody if you keep doing that shit, and there's no reason. I don't know how poor he is or how rich he is, but most people can afford to get a cab. If you're quite frankly, if you're in a bar all night drinking beer and shots and whatever the fuck you're doing to get drunk, you can afford a cab home. End of story. Because you can just not have another couple of pints. So yeah, no sympathy. Throw the bucket in.
I think it's actually, it's kind of a case of him maybe being a little bit too well off and a little bit too well known in his neck of the woods and his region that he lives in, because he was a prominent figure in the early days of MMA, one of the people that really helped to establish the welterweight division in particular. But the Miletich fighting system in the Midwest of the United States is still very well known and well regarded, despite some of his transgressions in the past. But I think he has benefited from being the beneficiary of his name and living in a I guess you would say a more rural region of the countries where police and the laws can be a bit more lenient on you, if you've got a little bit of a name and some recognition behind you. So I hope for his sake and his family's sake, and of course the people on the road around him, that he gets some help and can stop doing this. Hopefully this 30-day sentence, as minimal as it is, can kind of knock some sense into him. But yeah, sad situation for a legend of the sport to be, going through obviously some tough times, because I don't think you're getting caught drinking and driving that much if you're not dealing with some problems in life. So I don't know. Earlier this week, like the rest of these stories we've been discussing, one Michael Bisping was on the Mike Bond podcast, the Bonfire podcast. And on this episode of the Mike Bond podcast, Mr. Bisping would say that he experienced mixed feelings recently when it was announced that the man that took his eyeball, one TRT Vitor Belfort, would be inducted into this year's class of the UFC Hall of Fame. Obviously, it's pretty understandable why Bisping might have these reservations towards Belfort being inducted, but I just wanted to ask you guys, what are your thoughts on this personally? This kind of a situation where you have a relative darling of the promotion and Michael Bisping, who is a big name and a large part of many of their broadcasts, but they're inducting the very man who took his eyeball while on PEDs. What do you guys think about this?
I saw that show. I quite enjoyed it. Then again, I like hearing Michael Bisping talk. He's a fun guy. He's a northern lad when it comes down to it, even though he lives in California now. Yeah, I can understand his point of view, obviously. See it through his eye as he quipped himself. So, yeah, it's harsh. It depends if you're going to allow people who have that kind of shit on their record into the Hall of Fame. Because I've just seen Milicic, he's a Hall of Fame member. Should he be thrown out now with this conviction or whatever he's got? John Jones, does John Jones go in the Hall of Fame because of the drugs stuff, because of all the criminal convictions? Although I don't think he's actually been convicted of a criminal act. He just got various. I don't really understand the American law, how it's worked with him. He's got
he does have felonies. He does have felonies under him, but very minimal
Okay. Yeah.
stuff, stuff like that.
Yeah. And I've got, yeah, I guess the guy fought at a certain level. Which part of the UFC Hall of Fame has he been inducted into? Is it the overall one, or just for a fight or a career? Or
I think they're inducting him into the Legends wing, or the Pioneers. I think they call it.
Pioneer, because he was a tournament winner. So
Yeah, Pioneer.
OG.
Okay. Yeah, I guess then he deserves it. You can't really argue against it. I don't like the fact that he took Michael Bisping's eye. Yeah. Certainly, I object to that far less than Michael Bisping does, but yeah, I can't really stop him.
Yeah, I mean that was just kind of the reason I brought it up, because it's got to leave a bit of a sour feeling in your mouth, or a sour taste in your mouth, if you're Michael Bisping, because like they first of all, they announced his induction while Bisping was on commentary, so that's kind of slap in the face. Number one, he was in attendance on the fucking headset in the booth, so that's kind of slap in the face number one. But it's not just a situation of a guy who had some transgressions with substances or whatever. He literally blinded a man in one eye, a very important man to your company, during a fight, because he was on performance enhancing drugs. So it just seems kind of peculiar, I guess you would say. Maybe you do it, I don't know, further down the line or something. But either way, Austin, what do you think of this? If you're Michael Bisping, how do you feel, and what do you think personally?
Now, there's a handful of things you could probably feel about this one. I'll say the first obvious one. I would not, if this was me in charge of the UFC, me in charge of the UFC Hall of Fame, I wouldn't have done it. But also, probably not doing on the broadcast that the guy he blinded is also on. Those two things right there. Third, maybe just kind of like announce it with a handful of others. I mean, I'm not against guys who have had past transgressions get into it. This isn't baseball where it's like it has to be hollowed ground that you never do anything. Where it's like if you've done the thing in the sport, and this is combat sports, especially MMA, if you go by the strict letter of the law, by not allowing guys with PED usage, not allowing guys with past transgressions, both legal and misdemeanor, felony, whatever, bad things, small things, you're going to have a very, very minimal Hall of Fame that you're going to be able to put out to the public, that the public is going to be willing to agree with you on, especially if it's just UFC guys. And I think realistically, what you can do, and I don't know if this is for sure. Is Bisping in the UFC Hall of Fame right now?
I believe so. I'm almost
Is he?
positive.
I wouldn't. Okay.
It's in his introduction, I believe. For
Okay, so he has a Hall of Fame already. Like he was already in the Hall of Fame before Vitor did.
Yeah.
I think he got the better end of the deal. He's more beloved inside the UFC than Vitor was, unless you're an OG hardcore fan. And even then, majority of them were just kind of like whatever about Vitor, unless you're talking about TRT Vitor, which for some reason everybody likes to respect, but forgets that he was a fucking menace. My feeling on this is that if we're going to play by the letter of the law, okay, fine. But again, very minimal group of people that are going to be worthy of being in that Hall of Fame, whereas right now it's the UFC's. I'm not going to consider it the best version of the Hall of Fame because it's not engulfing of the sport. It's just the UFC's perspective, and even then they break their own rules on a lot of shit. So I don't look at it as it's like they're breaking a hollowed tradition or some sacred code. It's just it's theirs. This is what they're going to do, and again, Bisping kind of has to eat the bullet because this is the same company that protected, Vitor during the TRT era. And then also remember that they accidentally leaked emails to everybody about Vitor's TRT usage and his testosterone that was like 5 times the normal of a regular person, right before he had his fight with John Jones, and then he also got it brought back up again when he took off the TRT, and then came back to fight, and then also lost to Chris Weidman. So interesting, interesting career Vitor has. I'm not going to say he doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, but it's whatever. I never really liked the guy, anyways.
He's not getting inducted in the morals section for this.
That's fair.
If such
That's
a
fair.
merit
That's fair.
existed, yeah.
I think with that, stipulation on it that he is being added to the Legends wing, so he is being inducted for his early time in the UFC, which one would hope was pre-TRT Vitor, or at least semi-clean when he was young, which he was very phenomenal then. So yeah, I'd say with that caveat added on to it, and then like you added in there at the end, Austin, which did make me feel a little bit better. Bisping has gotten the better end of the deal. He was inducted first, so yeah, I guess I don't feel so terrible about it. He can go ahead and come on into the Hall of Fame, Vitor.
Right.
All right, well, guys, like I said, this is a cobbled together last minute kind of deal. So we're going to transition now from the current events and news topics to a little bit of UFC 316 prediction talk. Now, none of this is going to be legally binding. This isn't going to be an actual prediction show, but we could talk a little bit about who we think is going to win, or whatever we have to say about these bouts. But let's start actually with one of the prelims that I think we got to talk about, or at least we got to talk about half of it, because Austin, you got one of your guys fighting on UFC 316 in a preliminary bout. The flyweight man who is on a run, the nasty fast hands of Houston, Texas, Joshua Van, and he's going to be taking on Bruno Silva, the little Bruno Silva, the flyweight Bruno Silva. So yeah, we'll start with you. How do you think this fight's going to go down between your guy Josh Van at 13-2 now against the 14-6-2 Bruno Silva?
Joshua Van, but whatever he decides to do on that night, because he will win, and he will do it in devastating fashion against a man who had just been knocked out while also being on a win streak against very decent competition. But understand, Joshua Van is not that. Joshua Van is a man who likes to finish people, also likes to just put out the work on people. You're gonna try to put up the dukes with him? Yeah, good luck with that, my friend. Especially a flyweight. Very dangerous kid, very dangerous man, very capable. I have no doubts that I will have at least 15 points with this fight. And if I don't, God damn it.
I'll be honest, I completely forgot that Silva lost his last fight by TKO to Manel Kape. Forgot all about that.
Yes, all in my favor.
Yes, it is. Well, Dangermouse, I know that the small guys, the little fly guys, aren't necessarily your thing, but you got to talk about this one because it has draft implications. What do you think about Austin's Joshua Van going up against Bruno Silva?
I hadn't given this one any thought whatsoever. I've just tried looking it up on the internet and it's come up, but it's the fight from UFC 313, which which was cancelled.
Oh yeah.
I have no thoughts on this one really, because I don't know anything about either guy. I am full on count of casuals on this one, so I will probably. I'm generally heading towards the guy with the less losses on his career, so I'm probably going to be going along with Austin on this one and going for Joshua Van.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably the safe bet. It seems like the safe bet. Van's really been fucking on a tear, and a phenomenal fucking kid for as young as he is. What is he, 23 years old? Still not even 24 until October. So, yeah, coming out of that Fury FC down in Texas, they're producing some solid talents. I think you got yourself one here, Austin, and I'm still pissed off that you got him over me in the draft. Bullshit. It ought to be a fun flyweight fight. All right. Well, I'm not sure that this is the official bout order, but I'm going off of Tapology, so we're just gonna fucking roll with it. They have here listed as the main card opener for UFC 316, the bantamweight bout, the I guess you could say long-awaited and anticipated UFC debut of a man many speculate may be the best bantamweight fighter in the world, Patchy Mix Suarez. He is here. He's making his debut, and he's taking on the fella that a lot of people hate for the way that he treated Jose Aldo. It is Mario Bautista. This is a matchup of two top contenders, obviously in the bantamweight division. Batista 15-2, Patchy Mix 20-1. So when the cage door locks on that Saturday night, what do you guys think goes down? Dangermouse, we'll go to you first. Patchy Mix versus Mario Bautista.
Another what fight I know bugger all about, to be quite honest. I'm just looking now. Well, Patchy Mix is coming from Bellator, hasn't he, recently? So
Yes.
I haven't really followed it. Well, I just haven't followed his career at all. I hear his name mentioned quite a lot at MK, but that doesn't always mean a fighter is very good. So they do pick some duffers sometimes. Blanchfield, maybe. Yeah, I'm just looking at Batista. Beat Aldo, beat Ricky Simon, beat Dimon Blackshear, which is a good name. He has some very good.
He is on a 7-fight win streak, yeah.
Yeah, he's on one hell of a streak by the looks of it. And I'll just have a quick look at Patchy Mix.
As is Patchy, I was going to say.
Yeah. Oh, I see. I'm Magomedov there. That's always to have an off on your career thing is generally good. Oh, and he's another win against him. That was
his last fight, wasn't it? Magomedov.
Yeah, but he fought him before. He fought him when he was 17-1, 2026. And he fought him again.
The most recent one against Magomedov was a bit disputed. There are some people, believe even our own very own Super Dave believes that he may have lost that fight. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, Sergio Pettis. Yeah, I know more names on Batista's record than I do on Patchy's, but 20 wins and 1 loss. That's hard to dispute. Looking at these things, I would guess probably Patchy by submission, maybe late in the fight. Total punt there. I will say that. Do not bet anything on this on my recommendation. I will say that to all people involved.
All right. Well,
use his verdict. Use his verdict to pick what you bet.
Yeah, I've thrown a dart at the board, and if it hits, this is like the main card minute when they let the fans decide what the bet's going to be. I've just done it on my own. That's all. So yeah, it's got 13 subs. What else? What the fuck else am I going to pick for the guy?
Hey, it's fair assessment. I was going to say, Austin, clearly you're a guy that's going to know a bit more about Mr. Patchy Mix. You are a Bellator aficionado of the show, so. What do you think about this one? The debut, the UFC debut of Patchy Mix taking on Mr. Mario Bautista.
Well, if diving into the deep water has told us anything inside the UFC, it is usually not the best interest of a fighter who wasn't a former champion. However, Patchy is neither of those, where he's a guy who has been a current champion and has had a decent run of competition as of late. The layoff might not be in his favor, but honestly, that's a good time for you to heal back up. He's also taken this fight on a shorter window than most of his other fights that he's had. As long as he's been in shape, makes weight, he should be able to run over Batista. It's not like Batista has this amazing grappling game or anything that can threaten him on the feet. Batista's faced decent competition inside the UFC, but if you look at who he's faced, he's struggled with Aldo, who is great, but he didn't really offer much offense in that fight. That's why we all thought it was a disputed win, because he really didn't bring anything to the table that could have actually done anything to beat Aldo. Whereas Patchy Mix is a guy who finds ways to finish fights and more often than not gets it done. Even if the last fight you may argue was disputed, he's got way more ways to finish a fight than he does, against any other competition. I'm assuming Patchy Mix is going to play it safe a little bit right off the bat, just because they're both grappling centered guys. There's no reason why they're going to try to stand and bang on the feet. They're both going to probably go in and try to prove who's a better grappler. Honestly, that it's not always the case. two grapplers usually equal a stand-up fight, and by which case Patchy actually has more KO knockouts than that. But again, I'm not foreseeing a barn burner. I'm going to see it, pretty much what Tatiana used to do, where she just kind of run into people, just mow them over with grappling, and then find a submission. Batista's going to be capable, but Patchy Mix is going to find a finish. And like Mal said, I think the submission is in play here. Do I know which round? No, but my money's on Patchy.
Yeah, it seems as though a lot of people are riding that Patchy bandwagon, and a lot of people seem to think that he's going to get revenge for Jose Aldo, and he's going to kick off the Jose Aldo Revenge Tour. So we'll see what happens. See what happens comes out Saturday night. But we're going to go ahead and move forward to another bout that also has Just Bleed Radio fantasy draft implications. It is Super Dave's Kevin Holland taking on a man that I can't seem to pin down where he's at in his career, Vicente Luque. This one taking place in the welterweight division. Kevin Holland keeping his usual steady, busy schedule, trading wins and losses while he's at it. And Luque, of course, coming back off of the surprising submission win over Temba Garimbo. Prior to that, he got pounded out by Joaquin Buckley. Yeah, this is kind of one that could really go either way. Probably a coin flip. I don't have odds in front of me, but got to be pretty close, near to even odds, I would imagine. Yeah, what do you guys got on this one here? This welterweight matchup between Vicente Luque and Kevin Holland. Austin, I think you're first.
Honestly, it's a battle of who's had more damage inflicted to them. And I think that's Vicente Luque, unfortunately. He's still capable, but I don't foresee him finding a way to get Kevin Holland to play his game, which is a brawl. And, some catch submissions, more or less. I don't foresee Holland trying to play, super aggressive against a Vicente Luque. He'll probably play a little safe and at least keep him at a kickboxing range and hopefully not get stuck up against the fence. However, if you're looking for a finish, Vicente Luque is the guy. If you're looking for a win, I'm gonna say the smart money should be on Holland, especially if he's taking a serious dive at 170 again. So I'm gonna say a Holland by split decision.
Yeah, it's probably a likely scenario. But maybe a situation where both men find themselves in some sticky spots where things could look bad for a few moments, but they struggle their way through and end up fighting their way to a 3-round decision. I could see that happening. Danger Mouse, what do you think? Super Dave's got some points at stake here once again with Kevin Holland taking another bout, always making these quick turnarounds. Luque not having fought since I believe it was last December. So what do you think goes down when these two meet?
Yeah, this was what I thought we were going to be talking about as the first fight, because I was looking at Wikipedia for the order of the fights. Yeah, Kevin Lee backwards and forwards. I think you mentioned it on his record. I think he's due actually to have a loss, but I don't think he will in this one. He's back down at welterweight, which I believe is the division he's done slightly better in. It's when he goes up to middleweight he tends to get his ass kicked. Yeah, I haven't given this one a lot. Well, I haven't given this one any thought, to be quite honest. I know it stays pick, but again, I'm probably going to go with a decision for Holland in this one. Nothing exciting, just a Holland fight. Maybe he'll talk some. Oh shit!
And I've just realised that I've been talking into my glass, not my microphone, for the last 5 minutes.
Drinky mouse.
Apparently so, yeah. It's a Black Russian. It was very nice.
Oh god,
that's so funny. I was like, hang on a second. I'm like, what? Yeah. So sorry. Yeah, I think Holland will take this one.
yeah.
Not a big. It's always a coin flip with Holland. You never know which guy you're going to get stepped into the cage. But I can't think that Luque has anything that's guaranteed he's going to win against Holland. So yeah, I'll go with Holland decision.
probably split, as Austin said.
I guess just to be contrarian, I'll go with Vicente Luque. I'll say that maybe he snatches up Kevin Holland's neck down there on the ground in one of these exchanges where they're rolling around and maybe puts Kev out or Kev taps. So I'll take Luque by submission. What the fuck? Probably gonna be good odds on that if you want to bet. Okay, all right. Let's move on to the next bout, at least per Tapology. I'm not sure what you're seeing on Wikipedia, Mouse, but the next one will take place in the middleweight division, 185 pounds, and it is another rebooked, rescheduled matchup. It's the rebooked, rescheduled matchup of one Kelvin Gastelum and Joe Pyfer. Now, if you remember, Joe Pyfer missed this fight and was unable to take this fight when it was initially booked back in Mexico due to, I believe he said, food poisoning. And then he said some terrible, horrible things about the entire country of Mexico. Now they find themselves meeting once again, and this time in Newark, New Jersey. Kelvin Gastelum, who made weight surprisingly very well for the first fight, looks to do it again. Joe Pyfer looking to make weight for the first time for this matchup. But how do you guys think that this one shakes out? 19-9, Kelvin Gastelum rather, versus 13-3, Joe Pyfer. Dangermouse, I think you're up to go first.
Yeah, Joe Pyfer, big name. He has been on the scene recently. I'm not saying everybody's been talking about him, but he's known. He's well known, and of course, can't say that Kelvin Gastelum isn't well known either. Can never help shake the fact that Gastelum could be a welterweight, and he's just a lazy fat bastard who wants to fight. He's a middleweight. To steal Austin's phrase there for a moment. So yeah, I think on this one, Joe Pyfer actually has some desire to go further in this game. He's not just there to pick up a paycheck. He's hoping to see a championship in his future, which Kelvin Gastelum, I'm sorry if you're a Gastelum fan, but he's not going to get a crack at that belt again. So yeah, my money will be on Pyfer on this one. Gastelum's really hard to stop. That's the problem. I could maybe see Pyfer getting a late round TKO, but I'm edging towards a decision. I think it's just so hard to KO Kelvin. Just let me just double check how many losses by KO has Kelvin had.
Very tough, very big fucking square head.
Yeah, he's never lost. He's never lost by KO. So yeah, I think in that case, Pyfer, by decision for this one for me.
Interesting, fair take, Austin. As passionate as I'm sure you are about this one, let's keep it as brief as we can. Who do you got on Kelvin Gastelum versus Joe Pyfer?
Kelvin Gastelum, thick boy Kelvin Gastelum is going to finish Joe Pyfer, that fucking red-headed stepchild of an idiot. Hey. Maybe kind of, know what your body can and can't handle. If you can't handle a little bit of hot sauce, don't fucking eat the food, my friend. Also, here's the thing. Just because your stomach is fucking weak doesn't mean that you get to shit on an entire country for your fucking stupidity. Anywho, Joe is going to lose because he's fighting a motivated Kelvin Gastelum who is going to find his fucking button because, God forbid, Joe Pyfer won't be able to knock out Kelvin Gastelum because Kelvin Gastelum is going to knock him the fuck out first. Thank you.
Yeah, a little bit of heat, a little bit of zing on it. Good matchup. Tough pairing for both men. I don't think it's going to be an easy night out for either one. I think we're in for a war. But I think that the veteran savvy of Kelvin Gastelum and a little bit of the chip on his shoulder that he's probably going to have coming into this one, I think that's going to give him just enough edge to win a decision over Joe Pyfer. So give me Kelvin Gastelum. And from there, we'll move it to the co-main event, the second to last fight of the night, and it is for the UFC Women's Bantamweight Championship. Oh, shit. More fantasy points on the line. Ohio-born draft choice of none other than me, Lazybed. It is Kayla Harrison getting her UFC title shot that everyone's known that she deserves, and she finally came into the promotion. She's gonna run roughshod, guys. It's what's gonna happen. But we're gonna let you guys give your opinions anyway, because she's gonna be taking on the sitting champion, the undeserved, silly, loudmouth, stupid champion, Juliana Pena. What do you guys think? What's gonna happen? Who's gonna walk out with the gold? No special. You're up first.
Uh, Here's the thing. Kayla Harrison is a two-time Olympic gold medalist. She is a very determined athlete who is very capable of finding finishes on people that she has an athletic advantage over. Juliana Pena has a gas tank and has a chin, but she's dorky as hell with her stand-up and just awkward as hell with her movements. It'll go the distance, but I should say it should go at least to the fourth before Kayla finds a finish, and it'll look like a JV, a high school kid versus a pro athlete, kind of figuring out their game plans. But Kayla Harrison by whatever she deems fit. Fuck Juliana Pena.
Oh, I love it. I love it. All right. Well, that's points on the board for me either way. So, what do you got to say on this one, Danger Mouse? Who do you think walks out with that women's bantamweight championship?
Yeah, nice and quick. Kayla Harrison for this one. She's got too good a record. As long as she can make weight, of course, because that is always going to be the dilemma with this lady. She has to cut a lot of weight. But yeah, if she can do that, I don't think that Pena can defeat her over 5 rounds at any rate. So yeah, wrap it up quick. I don't know enough to comment on anything else. So yeah, congratulations, Lazy. 25 points for you.
Yeah, at least it's gonna be at least 25 points. I think I'm walking out with some more than that, but we'll see.
You're not getting a Fight of the Night award for that fight. Let's be honest.
No, that's true. Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
Not unless it has shades of Nunes versus Pena, but we'll see. We'll see. For the sake of time, though, we got to move it along to the main event, guys. The final fight of UFC 316, and it is another championship fight, also in the bantamweight division, but this one, the men's, and it is a rematch. The incumbent sitting reigning champion, Merab Dvalishvili, will be taking on Sean O'Malley for a second time. O'Malley coming back off of surgery, labia, whatever it was, everybody knows by now. 18-2, Merab 19-4. It's gonna be a banger. It's gonna be a banger, and there won't be any lights for Sean O'Malley to blame. So, what do you guys think happens? I don't remember who goes first.
Me, I believe.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Merab again. Nice and quick on this one. He beat him last time. I don't think that the lights and whatever injuries O'Malley had are going to make a difference enough for him to beat Merab, unless Merab makes a mistake, which he doesn't seem to do very often. We know what game he's going to play. It's a bit like Khabib. You know what he's going to try to do to you. Can you stop it? And okay, I guess O'Malley did somewhat last time stop that. And he did prove that he could hurt Merab. If he works the body, maybe he can get it done. I think that's the way it has to be if you want to beat Merab. You're going to have to slow that guy down, sap that gas tank somehow. Kicking his legs doesn't seem to bother him too much. Work his ribs, work that liver, try and get some shots into that body and slow him down at the very least. And then maybe you can get to put your hands on his chin as well. Because I think if O'Malley gets it done, it's going to have to be a TKO or he lands some crazy kind of kick that just stops the fight instantly, depending on how friendly the referee is for this one, I guess, with that Dana White privilege involved. But now I think Merab gets it done again. I can't see him. I can't see O'Malley pointing his way through 5 rounds, and I don't see him knocking Merab out. It's too tough.
Yeah, fair takes, good takes. Austin, what do you think? Do you think that we're going to see another repeat or worse of the first fight, or does O'Malley find some sort of way to pull this thing out?
Yeah. So the thing that I think of is, can he do it again in the same manner? Basically, catch him off guard. There's not a chance that he's going to do that again because we're looking at the same fight essentially. Either O'Malley catches him or he doesn't. and that's it. That's it. There's not other. It's not like Merab's getting finishes on a regular basis, but I think it's honestly a 50-50 fight. If he can hurt Merab, like you guys are saying, like with Mouse is saying, he has a chance of winning. But he couldn't do that until the end of the fight the last time, and Merab knows what's coming to him. It's not like he's fighting a different version of O'Malley. It's not like O'Malley's going to be this amazing god, like striker that Anderson Silva was. No, he's not. He's not that. He's capable, but I imagine Merab is going to run him over again because, like in the first fight, he started off quick. He made O'Malley have to adjust quicker than he usually does. He didn't get to set the pace. Merab did. He didn't get to have his offense going because Merab was on him the entirety of the fight. He just didn't give him room. There's not a chance that O'Malley has that Merab hasn't thought of. So I'm imagining Merab is going to do the same thing again. I think it's just going to be a lot closer. Split decision for Merab, I'm imagining.
Yep, I am. I'm also in agreement. So I think that we are all three in unison. I think that it's just going to be more or less a repeat of the first one. Maybe O'Malley can find a small success in countering certain things that he was not able to counter in the first fight. But I think that Merab's also going to come to this fight, fingers crossed, or should I say pinky toes crossed, in better shape than he was actually in the first one. So I think that we're going to see a better Merab and maybe a more competitive fight, but possibly an even more dominant fight from Merab or on the behalf of Merab. We'll see. We'll see. It's coming soon. UFC 316 is coming soon. And what's also coming soon right fucking now is me ending this show because we are out of time, guys. Hopefully you have enjoyed whatever comes of this last minute mix match version and edition of Lazy's Leftovers, a very special Memorial Day potluck mashup edition of the Leftovers. So for Danger Mouse, No Special, Chatri, Steven, Shavcat, and so many others, including you, the Bleeders, yourselves, I'm Lazybed, and thank you for tuning in. Please like the video and subscribe. We're getting the fuck out of here. Peace.
Peace out.
We did it. Austin 316 says, "I'll just whoop your ass." Yeah.
Sorry, mouthful of nuts episode again there.